Good morning, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me since I'm not looking at the screen that tells me all those good things. I want to welcome you to today's webinar. I'm Andrea Sens, Product Manager for our Beam QA portfolio. And as such, I really do welcome you to today's webinar. Before we get started, and as late people start coming in, I do want to do a little bit of housekeeping. Just to let you know, today's webinar is being recorded and will be available on our website soon. Please use the Teams Q&A dialog box to enter any questions you may have. I'll do my very best to address those at the end of the presentation with the kind assistance of my colleague Brian, who is listening in and keeping me on track. Please turn on live captions if you would like to have captions in your native language. And also, as part of housekeeping, I am getting over a nasty cold. So if I cough, I really do apologize. It's always the lingering effect is the cough, but I will do my best not to. So as the webinar is titled, One Device, One Setup, All Day Confidence. So this is our introduction to our new QA BeamChecker Pro for morning QA. There seems, and I just want to say before we really delve into it, one of the things that we keep in mind is what trends are going on in medical physics, but also what are their customers saying. So we've all noticed that the trend in medical QA devices and also LINAC technology is basically come out with something new that has the most components, have the most complex software that quote unquote does it all, and the most of, well, you name it. However, clinicians continue to tell us that complexity is burdensome because it actually slows them down and costs too much. So we've heard you loud and clear. Sufficient is efficient. Therefore, keep it simple, make it fast, and make it last. I'm sure you're wondering what on earth we actually mean, how that is actually implemented. So we're going to go over some highlights about what makes QA BeamChecker Pro so simple, fast, and long-lasting. We have indeed increased the number of detectors without exaggeration, which provides added measurement details without slowing down performance at all. We've also added support for 10 by 10 field size testing. And we've modernized connectivity to enable the use of Wi-Fi where available and Ethernet where it isn't. There are even more highlights, of course, to the new product. More ways that we keep it simple and keep it fast. So our new design incorporates the very latest in ion chamber technology. We have changed from different inherent buildup to a uniform 1 cm of buildup over the measurement chambers. And we've updated our energy chamber design so that a single setup is all you need to perform QA. No more flipping of the device in order to test electron, photon, and FFF beams. We have kept our incredibly popular software-free, cable-free standalone mode of operation. Standalone mode is, and for those of you who don't know, is possible thanks to our unique automatic energy detection algorithm and an internal device memory. So standalone, one of the things we did to improve the workflow for users is that we have incorporated a device auto reset after an out of tolerance measurement is detected. So what does that mean? When you're in standalone, no connection to the software, no cables required, no plug into the wall because you can use the battery power. If an out of tolerance measurement is detected, that information will flash on screen for about 5 seconds, and then the device will auto reset so you can continue taking your measurements. Uh, the BeamChecker Plus, on the other hand, requires a manual reset, which means a trip into the vault. So we are eliminating potential trips into the vault, which are always time consuming. Truly, with this device, you can be ready to acquire measurements in standalone mode with 3 taps on the touchscreen display. There is no rigid beam delivery routine required. There is no in training the system to expect certain energies. We have automatic energy detection for that. We have also improved the battery power in the device. We now have 8 hours of continuous use, which some people ask, why would that even be needed? Well, sometimes people don't put their device back on its power data cradle, or they forget to shut the device down. So we have built in an automatic shutdown after 30 minutes of non-use to ensure that you get the most out of every charge. The QA BeamChecker Pro display, which you're seeing here, is a large capacitive touchscreen. This is used to establish the initial device application server software device to server communication configuration. That's initial setup only. And then we also support both static and DHCP communications. And the DHCP is, of course, used for Wi-Fi. It also includes a lot of diagnostic information about the device. So I made a little video. It isn't professional, it's just little old me doing it. But let's take a look, because it's the best way to show you what it is. Turn on the device and it goes through a power on self-test. That's what it's doing there, to make sure everything within the device is working properly. We are not connected to anything. We're going to the standalone mode. We've chosen a user. We choose a LINAC and we're set to go. Then they tap on the home screen to go back, and I'm going to plug in. You'll see plug in an Ethernet cable and you'll see the symbol change to the Ethernet sign. And then we're going to go into the gear to show you what we have available. First, we're going to look at the device IP address, and we're on DHCP. And again, things that you set up initially are port number, net mask, gateway address, network type. You can choose either static or DHCP, and again, Wi-Fi would require DHCP. The app server, which is your software and database, also has its own IP address. Keep in mind, if you're using a DHCP, that is dynamic, which means both the device and the app server IP addresses may change, and that is something you would check in order to use the device in that mode. You can set your volume levels very quickly and easily, of course. And then what we're going to look at next are the diagnostics. So this is all kinds of information about your device. What is your battery level currently? What is the temperature pressure recorded on the device right now? What bias is being applied to the measurement chambers? RTDs are the temperature detectors within the device, and what each of those are measuring. Your lifetime charge to the center chamber. This will incrementally increase with each measurement. And we also have a diode over electronics, which will indicate whether something's been hit with radiation there. You're looking at a battery also, and then each chamber can, if needed, or for some interesting reason you want to zero them individually, you can do that, and you can scroll up and down through the various detectors. The serial number is displayed on the device. This is important as it's part of the way that data is saved to the database. And notice it says unplug Ethernet, because this is about the Wi-Fi chip, if you will, that is in the device. So of course you're not going to use Ethernet if you're using Wi-Fi. And that's just for us to be able to help troubleshoot with you should you have any issues. Knowing which version of that chip you have is important. So that is a nice overview of the touchscreen display. Now, of course, with a new device, you have to have new software. So here we are again. We have done a lot to improve the user experience using a browser-based interface. It's local to your hospital network. Active Directory, so we can make a connection, a read-only connection to Active Directory for user setup and login. And we have a unified database for all your devices. So let's go take a look at what that actually means. Let me find my software. All right, good. So as I was saying, we have the light and the dark mode for you to do. That is here under our settings. We have, so let's take a quick look at the settings because there's a lot of changes here too. We have improved the sort of the organizational structure. We allow you to create your organizational structure is a better way to say that. And what that means really is whether you're a single clinic with a single LINAC or you're a very large organization spread throughout the state or your country, you can create those different regions, your headquarters, your regions, your individual sites, and those LINACs at the sites and so on. Anything that you want to look at in this software is good to know that it means you click on it. Click on it and you can see what's going on. So for the central region, you can see who's assigned as physicist administrator. For your local center, again, you can see that. You can, at these management levels, you can choose to add a management level simply with the plus sign and choosing management or clinic. So let's go ahead and look at what a machine setup looks like as well. So for here I barely set something up. So, but all that's required really is your machine name and your SAD, and then you're going to add your energies. And now, of course, like I said, we fully support your electron, your photon, and your FFF beams. Very simply added. You can do them in your order of preference. And do them all in one go. You don't have to save in between or anything like that. For those of you that do test wedges, at least occasionally, these are the ones that are offered by Varian. Electa has more, but really this covers most of what people are going to typically use, and you can select that and choose to save that information. Now, before we go look at users, I want to talk a little bit more about that Active Directory, right? This is something that a lot of hospitals are wanting their device users, software users to be able to utilize as a cybersecurity effort. So we have a path to create a link between the software and a read-only of your Active Directory, which simplifies user setup. So what does that mean here? I've got my little add button. There's very little we have to do here. Right now, this box is checked as local user. Since I have Active Directory active, I can unclick that, and then I have my list of people that I can choose to add to the system. And it automatically populates their username and whatever email they would use to log into the system. And again, it looks like there's a lot of information on this screen, but that doesn't mean you have a lot of work to do, right? To create a user, you put in you select from Active Directory or put in their display name, username. The difference between the two is that the display name is what will appear on timestamp information and reports and CSV files, right? So it indicates who has actually done the measurement. So my new user here has no LINAC, no assignments, right? That's one of the things you have to do within a large organization is say, where exactly is this person working and what are they responsible for? So at HQ, they may not have any, but they may be a physicist, and notice that auto-populated to each of those. But maybe on this side of the house, they're only a backup. So you might select a therapist because they're only going to go in to help out. And that would be all you have to do to save there. And notice as we move from therapist to physicist, we have different rights within the software. That is just showing you what's up. Now here you can see that I've created a couple of custom user types because we know within organizations there's customization required based on what people are allowed to do. So we allow you to do that. But you need to be a physicist administrator to be able to do that type of thing. So now I can go into that and I can either choose, if I want to customize, I need to start with one of our 4 basic user types, which is therapist, physicist, authorized physicist, or physicist administrator, right? And clicking on each of these shows you what those rights are. And then again, I created a separate one, so they've got a couple more rights within the software. So that's what I really wanted to show you within settings, and devices. So again, I turned off my device. Give me a second. I think it's been more than half an hour. So it shut itself off. So it's going to take it a minute. There's once the device is on and the software is open and running, it's going to do this phone home, so that it's always checking for what will be online. And this device will come online shortly, which means it's available for use. So, and again, I have a unique identifier for each of the devices because then that's part of how the database is organized. So what does that officially mean? Well, let's go to the analysis page because that's where we get to actually, we're going to go over. I moved my thing and I put myself on mute. So what I was actually saying is for any of the baselines, real-time, or physics mode, you do need to identify your combination of what you're actually testing, right? Where am I testing it? Which Linux am I using? And which device am I using? All right. And again, click on something to highlight it to be able to see the information associated with that particular baseline. Like I said, this is messy, ugly data. This is not what you would have in your clinic. Since it's a lot of information we're sharing on one screen, you don't see your full baseline details. Just hover over the more and you see all that information. Selecting a particular measurement allows you to see the chamber information, and hovering over each of these chamber points shows you the measurement, the baseline, and the difference between the two. We also have added showing you the information in both picocoulombs and now centigrade as well. And notice we have the center dose and the constancy measurement. These are not realistic. Again, it's just synthesized data for us to do a lot of testing. So let's go back over here to see if my device is now online, and yes, it is. So what does that mean? So here we have a baseline, and some of the, again, we're in the analysis page, but if we're going to go over to baselines, we're going to have my combination of my center, again, my linear accelerator, and my unit, and I haven't made any baselines here. So this is what it looks like. You're going to set your parameters. We're just going to go 1, 2, 3, because I'm not going to save this. Your energy, your SSD, wedge, and triangle, field size, anything where we have built that in, you'll have a drop-down menu to choose from. Your monitor units, your expected output, of course, is 100%. Your nominal dose, we'll put in 100, but it may be slightly different depending on your TPS values. And then my dose rate, I'm doing an FFF, so I'll do 1400 MU per minute. While we, excuse me, while I just like to note that we default an alert and error value, these are absolutely to be reviewed by the physicist and set as appropriate according to your protocols. And then all you have to do is start. Now I'm gonna click start so you can see that it's initializing and then zeroing, and it's ready for Beam. And it displays all of these things also on the touchscreen display, because standalone mode or even real-time or physics, it's really a great idea to have your room camera pointed at the display It is really the fastest way to see what's going on with the device. And you're going to take your baseline, right? We're going to cancel out of that though, because we're not really doing that. And then you can discard or save your baseline and continue on and continue on. Once you have baselines created, notice you do not have to input any information here. All you have to do is click start. When the device is ready, there's a device online. You can click start. It's again going to initialize and 0 and be ready for beam. And once the beam delivery has been completed, it will use that automatic energy detection algorithm to display the baseline that it matched to. And then let you know the parameters. We're going to cancel this because there's nothing there. My office obviously is not a LINAC. It will display all the measured data for constancy, flatness, axial and transverse symmetry, the temperature and pressure at moment of measurement, and it will plot all the chamber profiles just like it does in the analysis mode. Physics mode is another opportunity to use the device in a different way. I believe this is unique to standard imaging and something that we continued from the Plus into the Pro, where here you have to define the measurement that you are going to take, because this may be for troubleshooting, it may for research. Don't ask me what kind of research, I'm not a physicist, but we do know that physicists do like to do a lot of research. So anything done in physics mode will not be saved to the database. We don't want to litter the database with things that we aren't measuring against, right? Because in physics mode, you don't have a baseline to test against. But here you would start and manually stop the device. You just go ahead and click start. Oh, I haven't put in my parameters, so it's not going to let me do it. So you click start, it'll do the same thing, initialize 0, turn your beam on. When your beam is done, click stop. The information, just like in real time, will be displayed about that particular measurement. I won't have baseline information, it'll just have the chamber information and your date, axials. It does give you values for axial, transverse, symmetry, and flatness. And then it also gives you, of course, the temperature and pressure at time of measurement. Any data acquired here, each measurement individually will be, you can export as a CSV file for analysis elsewhere later. So let me hop back to the analysis page for a moment. Just to show you that this is also where you would generate a report. And of course, we have CSV or PDF reports. And that, I think, is everything I really wanted to show you in the software. So I'm going to attempt to correctly go back to the slideshow. So that's where we were, but I'm not sharing the right screen. So let me share the right screen. We'll go here and we'll swap this instead. So now questions about regulatory clearance and release. So the product isn't quite yet released, but we fully expect to be released before the end of March, which is why we're giving you this introductory webinar now, so that you have a sneak peek at what is coming very, very soon. The regulatory approvals we will have at time of release are the United States, Canada, European Union, Australia, and Japan. Expected after that would be Brazil. And then for countries not listed, just ask us. We do those sort of as they come about, as needed, along with, we have a standard list that we work through. So that's the regulatory, folks. Fortunately, that's not my job. Regulatory is intense. So it is truly a new day for morning QA. Simple, fast, and made to last. New detector array, new touchscreen display, new connectivity, new automation, a new unified database, and new browser-based software. It's a lot, but it's very easy to use. I'm amazed where I've taken the device for, of course, testing, how quickly they just grab it, put it on the couch, set it up, and good to go. So at this time, I'd like to give you the opportunity to ask any questions. Remember to use the Teams Q&A dialog box for those. And my colleague Brian is monitoring those. So he will let us know if any questions have come up. And in the meantime, I just want to again thank you so much for being here. It really is nice to have you with me today. And of course, go to our website to access a bunch of recorded webinars about all our products. If you have questions after this webinar ends, you can always send them to sales@standardimaging.com, and they will work with me and with you to make sure you get all your questions asked. If you want an individual webinar to go into anything in more technical detail, please again reach out to sales@standardimaging.com, and I will be happy to assist your sales representative and yourself and you to make sure that happens in a timely manner. Brian, do we have any questions?
No, no questions. Everything has been clear and well appreciated.
Oh, well, okay, then hopefully I've done my job as expected. And I just want to, remind everybody that we have expert support every step of the way. So with this new device and with this new software, we're there to help you out through installation, training. It is really simple. We've done a lot of things to document what's required so that any IT department that has questions is prepared for what comes. Whether it's for our new BeamChecker Pro, your electrometers, your chambers, anything from Standard Imaging, please give us a call. Or reach out via email, whatever works for you, and we are very happy to help you. And I believe that truly, I have one more, nope, I don't have any more slides. So now I can officially stop sharing and just again say thank you to everybody for being here with us today. It's very, very much appreciated. Now go have a fabulous rest of your day, wherever you are in the world. Bye-bye.